I'm gonna add this portrait up with Xian's proclivity and go with Jiang Shimen.
Okay.
It's not looking
That
good.
is a bold. Yeah, not great.
not, not looking good for me. Alright. Well,
We have a very sword character dense lobby here.
that we do. That we do. So, Liu Jianxin, another character who's had a fair bit of representation here. Tu Kuei, literally not been here once. Also not represented in the Invitational at all either. A pretty good start for, well, it's a solid start. I wouldn't say it's great. Making physique on Ji Fengsheng, always a little bit of a journey, more so than the other sect characters. See Nan Gongsheng holding a water seal, which UWF is kind of the default endgame for him, so looks like that might be the direction we're heading in. Of course, it's just a reasonable start. Notice we didn't spend any rolls on turn 1.
I think this is my own opinion, but I believe that holding rolls till tier 2 is more of a viable strategy with 5 elements than the other sects. I think the power jump from tier 1 to tier 2 cards is larger for their sect than any other.
Fair enough. Alright, let's have a quick look at some of our fate branches here. Tu Kuei, My Fate, My Choice. Same for Ji Fengsheng. We have Fate of Cloud Sword for Xian, so who knows what they're going to be doing. My Fate, My Choice, switching to Spirit Sword for this Mui Fang, which Dharma, Egret, just generally a pretty solid fate. My Fate, My Choice, My Fate, My Choice, and finally Spirit Sword. Okay, so a pretty interesting spread there. Couple of Spirit Swords, 1 Cloud Sword, and a My Fate, My Choice. Nothing too spicy.
I was about to say, this is the opposite of spicy. I think about as bland as it comes. We have mostly My Fate, My Choice takers, and everything else is something that character was somewhat naturally inclined towards anyway.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I feel like a lot of options are better than My Fate, My Choice for Ji Fengsheng, since you're often taking his initial fates anyway. It does not take much to get me off My Fate, My Choice on the character. Is this Painter Cloud Sword? A slightly unconventional choice. Quick look at the scoreboard. So Ji Fengsheng, Elixir, Yanxue Painter, Elixir Wujingzhe, Elixir Mui Fang. Tu Kuei Plant Master. Okay, so this is the classic late game Realm Killing Palm setup. Fuluist for the Spirit Sword Mui Fang. Painter Nan Gongsheng, sort of an innovation of this season, and then Liu Jianxin, the Scourge of mid-game lobbies.
All of these pretty in line with expectations, I would say, except the Painter Yanshui is very... That's a spicy tech, and I guess Elixir Moigi Fang, not quite as unheard of, but I do think that most people default to Fulu with him.
Yeah, I've always found the Elixir Mui Fang to be more of a mid-game setup, similar to what Liu Jianxin does, where you end up playing a lot of boards of like tier 3 and tier 4 cards, and just leveraging the fact that you can build a board with Quen Spirit Swords and Mirror Flowers that beats a lot of people up until late tier 5.
That's a rough loss for the Yanshui player there.
Indeed.
If I had that board this early, I would be frustrated to be losing rounds. They've spent so many rolls and come up with so many Cloud Sword cards, which is typically an archetype that fares fairly well on.
I think so too, especially when you hit those upgrades. One thing that I have come to really appreciate this patch cycle is just how much damage Giant Whale Spirit Sword does. It sure does half your health on turn 3. In request for an ornament tour, we have a moon. Is it just mine? Am I moon? Everyone seems to be moon.
These ornaments are pretty new. It wouldn't shock me if they hadn't been properly audited yet with the spectate feature.
Or maybe maybe Moon's just the best one and everyone loves it.
Those are fighting words. Butterfly gang, rise up.
Wu Jingzhe happy to keep taking a couple of wins here. This Ji Fangcheng's done a very good job building their physique. This Tukui doing a great job of losing fights, but that's somewhat to be expected. I think this is probably a little bit on the low end. They were saving quite a lot of rolls here. Cut the sword bamboos. Okay, so Nangong Sheng. That is a very, very funny very funny card to draw on him. Alright, we're not interested
You have
in
our
it.
first treasure. First treasure of the day, and immediately thrown away.
Immediately devoured. This is a choice that I quite like. Physique Master on tier 3 is Ji Fangcheng. I am broadly a fan of his tier 3. I think Physique Master is one of the best things you can click that's not his tier 3 though. It lets you break through to 4 a whole turn early, and then the extra physique lets you hit breakpoints for realm killing palms much earlier. So it works out pretty well.
Not to mention demon killing bombs.
Indeed. Getting the multiples of 20 up a little bit higher. It does make it a little harder to assemble enough of your agility cards, but I mean, if you just got enough realm killing palms, everything sort of takes care of itself.
Certainly everything takes care of the opponent when you have enough realm killing bombs.
Yeah, sure, and picking up a win. Nangong Sheng HP getting a little bit precarious here. So
we have two Moigi Fangs in the lobby. One of them seems to have made most of the transition into the Spirit Sword setup that you'd expect to see on tier 4. The other one has a ways to go to get into that.
yeah,
I wonder if we're going to see it out of that Moigi Fang player if they're not starting to make that transition now.
both of them stockpiling rolls here, so I guess we're going to see a pretty explosive turn 4 transition.
That is one of the perks of playing Moigi Fang. You can stockpile rolls while spending rolls.
It does seem somewhat unfair, doesn't it? This Nangong Sheng has failed to draw Wood Spirit Seal, which is pretty severely curtailing the power of their Wood Spirit Buds. That said, Fire Spirit Seal and Metal Spirit Seal will still pack a punch.
What do you think are the chances we see them journey towards World Smash setup on tier 4, given that they don't have the Wood Seal? Right, that for that line you would prefer to have more metal seals and less wood seals.
I think it's possible.
Do you think it might ultimately push him there for an end game?
I don't think you'd see it get there as an end game. I think as a transitionary board though, it makes a lot of sense, especially if you miss again on tier 4 and maybe draw another Metal Spirit Seal. You have to spend some rolls on tier 4 anyway if you don't have the Wood Spirit Seal. Because the strength of this board, I think, is that if you just have a Wood Spirit Seal, you don't really need to spend that many more rolls, right? Like, you have all these multi-hits. You can afford to stockpile up to 5 and then find your UWF. If you don't have the Wood Spirit Seal, though, this board, I think, just loses every round until tier 5. So I think you have to kind of make something happen. And it's not like there's no cards on tier 5 that you're... tier 4 that you're interested in, right? You can dig to make something work. It'll be interesting to see. I kind of hope that they don't draw the Wood Spirit Seal so we can see them get a little creative. But maybe that's wishing ill on a child.
There's a pretty good chance that if the player could hear you say that, they'd be cursing you out for it, yes.
Look, we all know that they always draw Wood Spirit Seal, so, they'll get there.
Somehow, yes.
Somewhat nostalgic to see Spirit Absorb Fulu. doesn't crop up nearly as much as it used to since its nerf. Not quite good enough, yeah. I think, you know, winning those two fights, Nangongcheng's probably got enough HP that even if they don't draw the Wood Spirit Seal, they just grit their teeth and get through tier 4 until they can break through a tier 5 and guarantee it. Turquoise transition to a real board.
So it is Painter Nangong Shen, and a big disadvantage of that as opposed to Elixir is you can't force the seal you want and then just rely on upgrade elixirs to get a decent copy. You actually do have to draw it once by luck and then force the second copy if you want the good version.
The level 1 Wood Spirit Seal can get the job done if you can find enough other upgrades, which in theory, I told you, they always draw it.
There it goes. Every time.
Alright, time to AFK. Speaking of AFKing, Ji Fangcheng gets to break through to tier 4 around early thanks to Physique Master, and just the kind of classic board of Exorcism, Elixir, Tiger, and whatever other random junk you've been playing up till that point. This board loses to a lot of things, but it loses in a way where nothing you do can really change that fact. If your opponent's not susceptible to a very high amount of healing, then you need to draw so many cards to beat their board. It's generally not really worth it.
Sometimes you just have to say, I have 86 Destiny, and I will leverage that advantage by losing this one.
Definitely. So this matchup's a little bit interesting because Yanxue is going to have Avalanche, which is an example of a card that, you know, scales forever. That said, without any Moonshades, it does scale very, very slowly. So it might not actually be enough. Oh, especially if the chain is broken. Okay, then in that case, I don't really think there's any chance Xian wins this fight. But even if these were two other random non-chase Cloud Swords, I still don't think Xian can really get over this amount of regen most of the time.
I do think a Moonshade or a couple Flash Winds would be required to, to get through that healing density.
Pretty rough going for this Wu Jingzhe, 33 Destiny, incomplete pile of cards. Not really doing anything
there. Kidding. That's an interesting arrangement. I wonder if they ran out of time because in the board that or actually more likely the referee mode glitched and showed you the wrong board.
Well, I don't think the
otherwise he was playing an inactive Fragrant on the last round.
I don't think the referee mode usually glitches in combat. It might have just been that they have so few of the cards that they're looking for that it just didn't come together in time. This is looking a little bit rough. We have some flash fires and some shuttles and not much else going on.
I think you could do okay for yourself there. You get the attack up, you flash fire them to heart fire, and then circ the dust now that their HP is dropped. This is exactly the board I would have come up with those cards.
It's not very good into Turquoise. The Heartfire is actually a nombo with the dust here, since by reducing his max HP, you're actually reducing the gap.
Oh, hold up now. Dust is allowed to work the other way.
Yeah, you have more faith in this Heartfire than I do, I think.
It does take too long to kill against someone who has a lot of physique. But look at that. 7 block off dust. We go 7 again the next turn. And then we die because this was too slow.
Yeah. I mean, it was getting there. The Heartfire was starting to have text on it. A little too slow though. This Turquoise board is pretty nasty. You see a lot of Turquoise just kind of AFKing through the mid game. That is not what has happened here.
Well, I don't think this one afforded the luxury to AFK through the mid game because we saw them, I think, losing 5 fights straight at the beginning.
Yeah, true. Alright, looks like Ji Fangcheng here gets away with it again. So he's in a really good spot here, Shouchi. 86 Destiny, we break through next turn. Nothing locked, but we get our tier 5, and then from there we just start expanding on our board. This is interesting. This is the kind of thing you want into this, though the Sinking Chi Mighty Force does speed up the clock a not insignificant amount compared to just these random Zeke cards. What you're seeing here is that because we're at 53, we get 1 from our tier 1, 1 from our tier 2, and 2 from playing Meditation of Xian. We actually don't need to play these cards if they're not doing anything. We're going to get enough physique to break through just off our meditation. So we can afford to play a slightly more aggressive board. Maybe try to knock the avatar off Wu Jingzhe here.
It's quite plausible given that we're still heart firing for the bulk of our damage. I can see that Wu Jingzhe is holding cards for World Smash. They're hanging on to that shuttle and Smash.
Gotta hedge your bets. It makes sense when your board's somewhat lacking to try to keep outs to other things. Really not where you want to be, though.
Yeah, having the avatar pop before you're at tier 5 is brutal.
It's a little bit of a feast and famine lobby at the moment. We've got 4 people on very low destiny, and 4 people sitting pretty healthy.
Hello, Tyrant Sealus. I'm very pleased to be back. So happy to see all of you also. Okay, so it looks like one of the Mo Yifangs has gone to multi-hit spam, while the other has moved towards a more normal Spirit Swords line for the character. I shouldn't say more normal. They're both pretty routine lines of play.
Yeah, and this is the Beta Spirit Sword. Still banking 13 rolls for the next turn, and we're going to break through. Whereas our multi-hit Muifeng has spent down to 3. It looks like
I would be a little nervous in the Spirit Sword position because our child has chosen Flame Soul Rebirth. So if too much of your board cycle's damage is concentrated in one Egret or Dharma, you could get into trouble. But that worry is kind of faded away slowly as the child gets closer and closer to death.
Yes. I am noticing that our Wu Jingzhe is on 5 destiny, so they managed to draw 2 destiny elixirs this round. Almost certainly what they were hoping for. Looks like they're gonna not quite outspeed Muifeng here.
Yeah, Wu Jingzhe winds up being a surprisingly fast character. My take. But it takes a long time to get there, like Tan Xian, because he realizes much of that speed by going through his entire card pool to eat every single elixir with a consumption effect.
Yeah, right.
And you don't really realize that benefit until you're on like round 16 or something. Battle experience just is insane if you make it into the super late game. You strip your card pool of everything that's up next.
So Xian here still kind of struggling to put 8 cards on their board, breaking the avalanche chain again.
I don't think they ever completed that avalanche chain. They were running an inspiration sword into a multi-hit on the back end through much of tier 4. And then they ate some extra cards so that they could get their breakthrough around earlier.
Well, it's time to make something happen here, because this Muifeng is gonna be out for blood. There is of course a clock on this lobby as we go further along. The board of Chukui and Ji Fangsheng just innately gets stronger. Oh, hold on, what are we doing here? Okay.
I believe.
I see it. I see the vision. no Moonshades or Flash Winds does force you to think outside the box a little bit.
Certainly. And also that, I mean, they had that Chi Gather Dharma on board before they even drew the Dharma spirits.
They were
just because they wanted to play fewer Cloud Swords because they didn't have enough good ones.
They were ready to just have a blank consume on their board until we drew the Dharma. I don't think I believe in this Dharma into this. This looks a little too tough. I mean, there is tier 3 and 5 Rule of Cloud, which is a lot of extra defense. So maybe that gets them over the line. It's a little bit of a slog. I just feel like playing Fletch Touch Sky on your tier 5 board is just...
I think this might be closer than you give it credit for. Neither board has any sort of scaling effects going on.
Sure. I just think that the Coin Spirit Sword does too much here. Yeah. Unfortunate for Xian. Seeing people drop pretty quickly here. Cloud Swords defeats the Realm Killing Palms. And no UWF takes down G-Function. So alright, the DX player is getting some losses here. Saving a Spring Course T. I imagine one went into this Moonshade.
Probably, and then I think that it's being saved to go into the Moonshade again as soon as they legally can.
That makes sense to me. Interesting that this...
Either that, or plausibly a Flow Cloud Cannon Sword, or actually, Flying Fang.
Flying Fang?
The tier 5 Flying Fang.
Yeah.
Shape. Not the tier 1 Flying
Yeah.
Jobber.
Yes. Flying Shade Spirit Sword. Yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Alright. We are seeing Tukwe slowly accrue strength, leveraging the fact that you can just hold every board in your hand. Probably wants to find a card to absorb here. The extra cultivation doesn't get you very far.
I'm sure they're just busy in analysis paralysis, figuring out which of the 30 is best to do.
And then you run out of time and just start clicking from the side of your hand until the red message goes away. Snagong Sheng here, very, very much hoping to find a UWF. The board with the max Water Spirit Seal and Fragrant, level 2 Wood Spirit Seal, there's enough damage here to get by, but it's a little bit clunky at the moment, especially if there's defense for this Heartfire.
Do want to point out that UWF isn't actually the largest immediate game for them here. It certainly improves the board, but they are also missing the circ that goes with it.
That's true. That is a good point.
And it's really the unity of those things is where the majority of UWF's power comes from.
Well, Nangong Sheng activates Cheek Death as the Mui Fangs contest with two similar but different Duan Chuan boards. Eternal Injuries finishing them off there. And very, very close fight for G-Fang Shuang and Mui Fang. Alright, can Child leverage their second lease on life? We have a Forest Guard. That does some work. This Heartfire, I feel like, has to be nearing the chopping block. It's pretty rough across the board. Hey, we drew UWF. Well, that makes things a little bit easier, but like you said, it doesn't fully solve the problem.
Yeah, you can you have two of the cards that were formerly on the board now chase, but they pulled a willow leaf in order to take advantage of that, and that's, willow leaf a pretty strong chase.
Yeah.
One of the more messed up chase cards, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's an improvement.
It wishes it could be Heaven Hex, but it's up there.
Not every card can be Heaven Hex. Probably for the best. These boards have incrementally been improving. Found the Flying Shade Spirit Sword. It looks like that might have got the upgrade from our tier 5.
Does seem that way, yes. You
When-
need enough of them to connect to make sure you can do a Giant Coon after, probably even into a Flow Cloud. Once they have enough other cards that they can afford to cut the second Giant Coon from the board and upgrade them.
Yeah, leveraging the tier 3 to play the Spiritage Sword in order to be able to play a second Quen Spirit Sword over a card like Moonshade, which was upgraded in its stead. Interesting line. Give up a multi-hit in exchange for a much stronger chase. Well, this man Gongshan can't catch a break. Find UWF, die immediately after. It's always been, as it's always been.
I do fear that Chu Kui has simply been let to live too long. It's over at this point.
I do get that sense too. Things are looking very, very good for him.
It's very difficult, possibly even just not possible to beat these two Kui boards once the round goes late enough and they have enough pieces.
A slight reduction in the physique cap means it takes slightly longer for these to get all the way to turn 3 status, and he hasn't finished drawing all of his exercise souls. It looks like we're just done with this soul cleaving board. I'm imagining we're keeping it. Oh, we're not even keeping it for this setup here. We are dedicated to it.
He assesses his board like I do. This has become too powerful, and so screw the rest of it.
Round 14, how could anyone let him live that long, so Senpai? Well, you know, we managed to take out half the lobby in that time. So yeah, we could be playing this Flashwind. I see with the Flow Cloud Chaos, so it's just on the board now as part of it. So using this Spirit Coercion here to make enough chi to fuel another Quen Spirit Sword, so we don't have to play a Flashwind.
I think ideally they would actually prefer to play the Flashwind, so that they could, instead of using Coercion, they could play another multi-hit card.
Yeah.
Possibly something like if you got a level 2 Step Lightly, that might be preferential. But they are short that extra multi-hit, and so they'll just use the better chase for now.
Indeed. So, our G function here in a pretty common spot where you have some upgrades but a lot of level 1 cards. It's not ideal. These Ice Sky Elixirs will do a decent amount of work here. Obviously the guard up eats a lot of it. Windward Palms is, when it's fully upgraded, it does a little bit more than a Realm Killing Palms impression. It's often just better than Realm Killing Palms on boards like these that don't make very much physique. At least until you start hitting the very, very high thresholds. That guard up there, perfectly sniping that lethal sword formation. I don't know where that round went, but here we are. Alright. Tookwe is continuing to draw Exercise Souls and Realm Killing Palms. It's starting to look pretty grim for everybody else. Does our Muifang here have a cheat death? No. We are all Spirited Sword all the time. So, I mean, I see this board and I have like a stress reaction. I don't know about you. I do not envy going up against it, but let's see, how much physique do we get up to here? So +6, we get to 91. So we don't get the extra hit on Realm Killing Palms on first cycle, so it will probably be a second cycle this Realm Killing Palms is lethal.
They seem to have appraised exactly that and thrown in the third exercise soul so that second cycle they can get the 5-hit RKP.
Yep. So does this board of random Spirit Swords beat it? You know, this board of random Spirit Swords, I feel like, surprises me sometimes. You can get pretty far with
when you're doing better than I am, it surprises me basically all the time.
It sure looks like a bunch of random junk, but it really gets the job done more often than I expected to. So we'll see. We'll see.
我已静候多时，请赐教。
Of course, the random plants coming in upgraded gives Turquay the speed advantage here.
So it does. I think Boy Yifeng's probably just happy not to get poisoned off of all of that, though. When you stack that much block, just, you know, get dying anyway because they ate a toxic fern.
Yeah. Alright, let's see. Does this deal 50 damage? It does. In fact, it does. Alright, get out of here, Turquay. It's Mui Feng's world. It's Mui Feng's world, and Ji Fengsheng is living in it.
I do... Well, Ji Fengsheng seems to have the edge on the multi-hit spam Mo Yifeng just because he can soul cleave enough attack drop.
Well, at the moment, I think what's really keeping him in it is actually these Ice Guard elixirs against this Mui Feng. Oh no, sorry, this Mui Feng. These covering a whole turn each, giving enough time for the second soul cleaving and breaking palm to actually get the kill in. With only one soul cleaving, I don't think you survive this amount of damage most of the
He
time.
did just defeat that board.
I guess you're right. I guess I'm wrong. I suppose the Moonshade is only level 1. I guess the Moonshade is only level 2, so the soul cleaving basically offsets that, so you're only looking at base damage for these on first cycle. That makes sense. And then between the bearing the load and the guard up elixirs, that lets you get back around. Okay.
I'm surprised to see our multi-hit Mo Yifeng eating all of the hand cards to go first. I know at round 17 that's ordinarily a very regular play, but they still have an active cheat death, and I'm not sure that I'm willing to get rid of potential upgrades like that when my cheat death is still going.
It's interesting. I imagine part of the calculus is that, well, I'm an elixirist, so I should be going first against this Fulist. But it does not look like it's paid off here. This Giant Quinn Spirit Sword is going to be sitting in our hand for quite a number of turns.
Yeah, blocking out the Dragon Realm there is very rough. The Thousand Evil was with a Chasing Guard provider into it. Just cool.
Yeah. Well, we're not holding onto that cheat death. Looks like this Ji Fengsheng walks away with a win as well, so... Cloud Sword Hybrid Mui Feng on the ropes, fighting the Ji Fengsheng Ghost. So, Ji Fengsheng is fighting both of the Mui Fengs at the moment, so... This is an opportunity for him to potentially take them both out, though I think this matchup's a fair bit worse for him. Obviously the Thousand Evils is less effective, but we might just be a Dharma board now. We have found an upgraded Dharma Spirit Sword. Our Divine Walk Fulu is level 2. We might not...
A special kind of insanity to opt into playing a Dharma board against someone who has been running 6 guard up on their board even before you. you did that.
Well, sometimes you just gotta have the soul read. You just gotta...
Maybe we'll see that he's crazy like a fox, but I still stand by that he is crazy.
So we saw the Styx agility get kicked. So Chief Huntering is saying, I am soul cleaving, bearing the load. That is my life. I'm gonna chase once, and then I'm not gonna do it again. Let's see if that pays off for him. Getting very far with a pretty low quality of cards overall. I mean, we have an upgraded Shiroro and a Max Windward Palms. Other than the 3 copies of Ice Guard, that's basically all we're working with.
I do agree, it's been a very impressive performance given what they've drawn. We haven't seen them come up with trains at all. They haven't found the second soul cleaving. I'm not sure they've drawn a single soul seizing. They're really making it work with what most would consider relatively little for the strategy.
Just barely not getting there. The Flying Shade Sword breaking the guard up. Also, it looks like they're not eliminating this Muifang either, so all 3 competitors still live as we go into round 19.
Oh, I'm sure they're all livid about that. Every single one of them went, yes, I lived another round, top 2, and then face palmed immediately on seeing.
Alright, well, this is our life, I guess. The Soul Cleaving gets the upgrade elixir. I cannot imagine being upset about that. The one-shot Breaking Palms breaks the 100 Zeke mark.
So it does, as long as it comes after bearing below.
We'll get there either way. It makes 2 Zeke by itself.
Oh, good point.
So that'll absorb 5 debuffs into 5 attack up, which, yeah, it's a sizable amount of extra damage.
Advantages of tier 3 physique, master, like you said.
Indeed. So this setup here, we are not soul cleaving the entangling from bearing the load. Looks like we're trying to snipe the Flying Shade Spirit Sword. Ooh, the going first gambit not paying off here.
See if we can stun them out on the giant coon that comes after it. That makes sense.
It doesn't look like it's going to happen though. I think the plan was to go first, block the Dragon Room, then...
They were so committed to it, they were willing to run a normal attack in the name of going first.
Yeah. So now our whole board misses. The guard up doesn't find its mark. The soul cleaving runs into guard up.
It's hilarious to me that they ran a normal as a calculated ploy to chi deny them by blocking a flying shade. And only to discover the opponent also ran a normal.
Exactly. We're too many layers deep here. Well, that also means they don't defeat this Muifang. This regard up here, they win this fight. As it stands, it is Muifang versus Muifang in the final.
We're up to the max Dharma.
This is what the physique used to look like before Duan Xuan existed. You improve your board by drawing more and more Divine Walk Feelers, and it's like having extra physique. Instead,
this is amazing. They had a maxed Dharma on their Dharma board they've been running, and they just got rid of both pieces.
They do not want to mess with this. They have no interest in playing the guard up guessing game. They're like, you know what? I'm just gonna make enough chi to play this 1,000 Evils and play a Rule Sky every single turn, and you deal with it.
Yeah, opponent has self-mutilated their board enough in the name of surviving till round 20 that at this point we'll just play something comfy.
The Dragon Room into normal is a nice finishing touch. I have a feeling our Philist is gonna walk away with this one. We almost don't chase off that Dragon Room thanks to Muifang's tier 2. Alright. Well, we made 2 chi, which is almost enough.
Is it?
Oh, I think we're not playing the Quinn anymore. I think Quinn is gone. This is just 2 guard up elixirs, I think. Yep. And then Dragon or normal. Yeah, that's not gonna get the job done.
The finisher.
Alright, let's see it. There it is. Well, our Elixir and Lufan can at least console themselves with having dealt 7 damage this fight, but it was not very close at all. Alright, well that is a really solid win. I'm gonna grab a screenshot of this and I'm just gonna send it directly to Senpai so I can go back to the lobby.